Oh, wow. Look at all our friends. This is so exciting. I can't believe it. It's just almost like the real thing, Court.
Yeah.
It's almost like the real thing, except it's not. It's not even close to the real thing. What the heck? So normally right now, we'd all be waiting at the coach house and you'd be pulling up and, oh boy, I'm sad about that. So for the last 20 years, this is our 20th year, and every year we go back to the coach house and we have this celebration because we were able to help save that business from condemnation from the city of Scottsdale. And it was one of our first big cases. It was actually our first big case that kind of launched the firm. And so we like to celebrate that family and celebrate all our clients and our friends. And so this year, weird, right? It's just weird. So I think Court Rich here, my partner and co-founders, is going to help me.
And you can.
Madeleine, can you just mute everybody else that's not on? Thank you. And so Court's going to help me here, and we're gonna do something really funky. So I mean, not as funky as what we normally do, because we usually get these, we call them cheap one-hit wonders, although their prices have escalated throughout the years. And so many of you guys may remember, we had so we're going to intersperse some of these one-hit wonders with two phenomenal Arizonans, Elliott Pollack, the famed economist, who just always gets it right. And so we're really excited to hear from Elliott today. And actually, I think some of you were at the Pinal Partnership breakfast this morning. Elliott got a record crowd, I think, in the history of Arizona on a Zoom call. We had 420 people that came to hear Elliott, and I sort of like lightly moderated it, which basically was, hey, Elliott, do a presentation, and then, hey, Elliott, we're out of time, and he was awesome. So I'm excited to see Elliott, and he actually left us feeling happy, which is kind of phenomenal, because you never know in 2020 if you're going to feel happy after anybody talks. So, and then we've got Jim Belfiore, and Jim, as you know, is the best residential real estate analyst in our state. He was just, we want to congratulate Jim, because he's now a principal at Zonda. And so Jim's Jim's an awesome person. He's my partner in the Dealmaker publication that a lot of you probably read every day. And we've been partners for, I don't even know how many years now, Jim, but it's a pretty awesome thing. And so I just adore Jim, and I know everybody listens to him. And let's see, why don't you all wave if you're a member of the Rose Law Group family. I've got, I know we've got some of my partners here, David McDowell, I see, the head of our litigation department, Kane Fisher, the head of our family law department, Chris Webb, the head of our project management and planning department, planning solutions. Let's see, who else do I see? Cameron Carter, the head of our transactional department, Logan Elia, a great litigator who right now is fighting Proposition 208 for a small business owner in our state, My Sister's Closet. So thanks, Logan. And Adam Trank, who's doing a lot of cannabis work now that Prop 207 passed. And who else am I missing? And do I see? Well, we'll keep going, but wave if you're a Rose Law Group team member. Also, wave if you were at our first party. That was in 2000, the year 2000. That was our first party. Who do we got? Nobody? I don't know, somebody. Court. Oh, my parents, Court's parents too, we're related. Jen Hall, there she is, Jen Hall, who's been our senior planner here at the office forever, and she's amazing. So that's pretty cool. And I don't know, oh, look at that, Paul Basha, who is a traffic engineer at a related company, Summit, but he was with the city of Scottsdale maybe then. And I don't know if anybody else, but okay, so we got that. All right, let's do this thing. So we had 10 years of parties, we gave awards, we did all sorts of stuff. And then in 2010, we decided for some unknown reason that we should have a one-hit wonder. And so we picked literally the worst possible one-hit wonder you could ever think of. William Hung, do you remember that from American Idol? So he was the guy who sang really poorly. He was an engineering student who went on and tried his luck at being a singer and said, yeah, I've never sang before, and he was terrible. And so he sang that song, She Bangs. And so I think he recorded something for us because he couldn't be here right this minute, but go ahead and Madeleine, why don't you play that for us? Very personalized. You gotta get that volume.
everyone from the Rose Law Group. This is William Hung from American Idol. I want to wish you all happy holidays and happy 20th anniversary. It's great to meet you back in Scottsdale in 2010, and here is a special song for you. She bangs, oh baby, when she moves. I go crazy cause she loves like a flower, but she sting like a bee. And every girl in history, you bang.
Doesn't get any better. Didn't get any better, did it? No, that was amazing. Yeah, it did not get any better.
I think he was the only one-hit wonder we had that was actually a hit at the time, too. He was on top of his game when we had him. Hot number.
It really was. And, you know, in addition to that, before I talk to Elliott a little bit here about the economy, because that makes sense, right? William Hung and then economist, it makes a lot of sense. So, but interestingly enough, he came with, I think, his mother, and he was the only artist that actually wanted to hang out and like take pictures with everybody that came to the party, because he was so excited about like this newfound fame, and that somebody would pay him. I think we paid him like $1,500 or something to come appear. It was pretty unbelievable. So he really was a cheap one-hit wonder, but you know, whatever. Okay, Elliott, so tell us what's going to happen here in 2021, as 2020 has been a little rough.
All right, so here's the good news. All right, the good news is that things are literally going to boom starting this summer when we reach herd immunity, because enough people get these incredible vaccines. 95% efficacy rate is unheard of. It's dramatic and lowers the percentage you need to get the vaccine to reach herd immunity. We are in for a huge third and fourth quarter, and then things will slow down. But through 2022 and maybe into 2023, we're going to have well above average growth. You're in for essentially a boom for catch up. And yeah, the next several months are going to seem crappy. It's transitory. Here's the dynamics. You have you have significant pent up demand. The 85% of the labor force that maintained its job, that got paid during COVID, had no place to spend the money. So savings rates are way up. Most people have piled up a ton of cash, and when this is all over, they're going to be foaming at the mouth to spend it. Those people who are unemployed are going to have an easier time finding a job. Plus, these have-nots, the people who Congress basically let go after the CARES Act expired August 1st, they're going to get some money that should get them out of debt, that should get them to be real players. The CARES Act will also follow up for small businesses. Probably the biggest negative is about a third of small businesses will end up not reopening, but they'll be replaced over the next couple of years. There's also likely to be an infrastructure package passed, and you have this huge gap between real and potential GDP. There is literally no way, if these vaccines turn out with the efficacy as advertised, that you're not going to have a significant boom over the next couple of years. So again, the trick now is to stay away from crowds and wear masks and get yourself to June.
Get yourself to June. All right, Jim Belfiore, thanks for that, Elliott. And that again, peps me up a bit. So, I mean, you're no William Hung, but
well, happy
Jim,
anniversary.
Thank you.
Jordan was 20 when she started her practice, and Court was still in high school.
Thank you. Yes. Yes, exactly. That's so nice. Yes. It's the filters on the Zoom that you look better on Zoom, you know. There we go. Okay, so de-aging. So Jim, talk to us about what you're seeing with the housing market, which really is a driver in Arizona. What's going to happen in 2021?
Yeah, well, it is hot. I think it's going to continue to be hot. I'm at the wrong party, though. I thought we were doing Red Solo Cup or like, anyway. Forget it.
You can do what hey, dude, you just got, you just made a deal. You're a Zonda, man. You can do whatever you want. You should be partying.
The office is saying that I've been quieter than I've ever been. And my response to that is because I have a company handbook now. But, you know, you all know, because you've been hearing about it all year, you know, the interesting thing about the pandemic is that despite a pandemic that's supposedly keeping all of America inside, or a lot of America inside, we have the greatest housing boom that we've had since we started our company in 2006, 15 years ago. Demand hit a high. in August, and builders have been building a backlog. You know, they can't build homes fast enough. Most of them are having drawings. They don't like to call them lotteries, but in some they are lotteries. You know, they're not giving prices away until just before they release something, selling 4 to 6 homes on a monthly basis per community, at least here in the Metro Phoenix area. And inventory is also extremely low. It's an entirely different situation than 2004 and 2005, but it feels similar in the sense that there is, you know, a lot of enthusiasm for housing, and I would expect that to continue. I think the greatest concerns on a go-forward basis for 2021, 2022 is we don't have enough lots. So home ownership is growing. It has been growing since 2016. It's grown dramatically here in the most recent quarters. And so we're seeing a shortage in houses. There aren't enough resale homes. There aren't enough new homes to support demand. And so prices are rising right now. New home prices at about 2% monthly. That is significant. If you annualize that, obviously 24%. We haven't hit that. You know, if we look year over year, we're at about 10%, but it's continuing to rise. And with the supply shortage, I would anticipate prices to continue to rise. And if we look a little further down the pipeline, and you know this, Jordan, because you all are getting call after call every single day about entitling new projects. You're the go-to real estate firm, real estate entitlement firm. So you know that you can't get them through the city fast enough. As soon as they go through the city, development starts, you start turning dirt, they go to market, they sell out. So I think the big challenge is, how do we stave off appreciation? It's great for people who plan on staying in their home for a long period of time. They get to see on paper that they have a lot of money. But the reality is we're going to start pricing people out of the market here real soon. So I think the biggest risk is not demand. I think demand is going to remain healthy, but I'm a little concerned about supply, and I think that's a long-term concern. We're at the lowest level of lot supply that we've had definitely since 2005. So right now there are about 31,000 finished lots in this market. Think about when we went into the downturn in 2006, it started in Phoenix first and then rippled across the country. We had about 70,000 lots. So interesting situation. Demand's high, low supply, prices rising rapidly. I think it's going to continue for a considerable period of time. It's going to be a good 2021 for home builders. Their biggest complaint is going to be, can we get lots faster?
We are hearing that. We are hearing that. Thanks, Jim. And that is good for our market. So, hey, Court, just not to break up this serious conversation about something that really matters, but wondering, what was your favorite party memory over the last 20 years?
Wow, there are so many. You know, whether it was, I think one time we had an employee whose first week on the job was the week of the party, and that I think was also her last week on the job after she got entirely tanked at the party and thought that's how we do it every day. But I think my favorite story from the parties was one time I think it was supposed to rain and we put up a tent, and code enforcement came by in the middle of the party. Scottsdale code enforcement stopped by to try to like shut down our event because the tent didn't have a permit and there were too many people. And we're like, well, we've got the mayor and the whole council here right now. Maybe we can try to work this out. This is kind of what we do. And so we were able to like pull the mayor over and talk with the code enforcement people and you know, work it out. If we hadn't solved that problem, it would have been really bad for business for sure.
Good. I like that. Well, I also remember, do you remember the guy, what's the guy's name that sings 8675309? Who's that guy?
Tommy Two-Tone, yeah. There's lots of stories about his appearance for
Lots of stories. So Tommy Two-Tone was a little like over the middle age, by far, you know, maybe he was probably like 70 years old when we had him. And he just wanted to sing, right? 8675309. He clearly hadn't been paid attention to for quite some time. And he just wanted to keep going, keep going, keep going. Well, we had some law clerks, these young guys, young gals and young guys at the time. And so Tommy Two-Tone had all the energy. And I don't know if anybody remembers this, or maybe some of my lawyers or our lawyers here, or some of the planners remember the after party with Tommy Two-Tone. So these guys took Tommy Two-Tone. He wants to go to the Scottsdale bars. And so apparently he's standing there, he's a 70-year-old guy, you know, these hot girls, coming up, and he's saying like, I sing 8675309, and these girls are all kissing him. And it was like, apparently it's just like, I guess that's a line, like that's a thing. And so there's stories about, the story kept getting better, but I'll
They
stop
dragged
there.
him from bar to bar that night, I think. Showing
Bar to bar, right, and whatever else happened. But anyhow, those are the days. Okay, so with that, before we go back to Jim and Elliott, because we got a bunch of questions, I wanted to remind you about Rob Bass, right? So what did he sing, Court?
Whoa, someone knows the answer to that.
Yeah, who knows that? Jen, what do you got? Nobody. Okay.
Takes two.
Oh, it's
Takes
Takes
two.
Two.
Joy
It
and
Takes
Pain.
Two.
And
Yeah,
Joy and Pain.
Oh, thank you. Joy and Pain. Yeah, the best songs ever. So Nick Labadie, thank you. So anyhow, he performed in 2012. And so our concierge at the time, we've got a guy who goes and helps all the people at our firm with whatever they need. And anyhow, he picks him up from the airport because again, this was supposed to be cheap. So we didn't have like a limo or anything and whatever. And so Rob Bass comes up and he's about, I make the introduction, you know, we're standing up on the stage. We're all excited. Everybody's ready to hear whatever it is. I make the introduction and he doesn't come up and he's standing on the stairs. And I'm like, okay, come on, you know, come on. And he won't go anywhere. So I walk down, I'm like, what the heck, you know, what's going on here? And he says, I need my cash. And I'm like, what?
Right.
Now, this guy, I think it was like maybe it was $10,000. It was something, it was kind of big, right? And we had paid him half and we needed to pay him the rest of it. And so he's like, I need cash. And I'm like, well, Allison over here, she's got a check. I mean, before you sing? And he's like, I'm not singing till I get my cash. And I'm like, wow, we come from different worlds, you know, because I'm a law firm and there's no way I'm going to short you here. I picked you up from the airport. I'm putting you in a hotel. Are you kidding me? And the guy was like, no, I get a cash. I go, I got a check. And then all of a sudden it hit me. It was 2012. And that was when medical marijuana had just passed. And our firm was doing a just ridiculous amount of business. And it happened that Friday we had a deposit. And a lot of these medical marijuana guys, go figure, we're paying in cash. And I had in my car, and I don't have any cash. I don't even have an ATM card. I had $5,000 in cash. And I walked over to my car, pulled it out, gave it to Rob Bass, and there he sang. And go ahead, and Madeline, why don't you tee him up and let's see what he has to say now.
Yeah, there it is.
Hey, what's up, Rose Law Group? This is your homie Rob Bass. I remember we had a great party back in, what was that, 2012. We had a big party back then. So I'm just stopping by. I want to say happy holidays and happy 20th anniversary coming from me, Mr. It Takes Two, Rob Bass. So happy holidays to y'all and have a great one. See y'all next year. Peace, I'm out.
Right, I'm out too. Okay, let's hear it. Court, you got a question for Elliott?
Elliott gets to follow all the good stuff here. We're gonna have you sing in a minute, Elliott. I wanted to ask you. I think it's hard to segue from. This is a challenging host situation here, but let's get back to the economy. So Elliott, I'm curious. You know, we've got lots of positive prognostications. Arizona is obviously big. You know, one of our big things besides home building is tourism. And is there any feeling of certainty as to how, I mean, does it bounce back? Are people just never staying in hotels again? Are they, what's your expectation? And is everyone just guessing, or is there something that we're using to figure out what that future behavior will look like?
Well, you can't be certain, but probably not only will it do well, but I think the first couple of years, all those people who lost the last season are going to want to come out here. They're going to have the money. They're going to want to spend. Traveling within the country is going to be very easy and less expensive, quite frankly, because there won't be nearly as much air travel as there was before, mainly business travel. But the bottom line is I would expect not 2021, because again, that's going to be a lousy comparison up until the middle of March when COVID hit. But 2022 and 23, I think, would be banner years for people who are catching up for missing 2 spring training years, which is, in my opinion, likely, given what's going on over now, and it'll probably continue for the next.
You're
90
saying we're not going to have baseball for 2 years? Is that what you just said?
Well,
Is that breaking?
we lost it on March 14th last year, actually this year, and I think it's going to be either a shortened spring training season or a difficult spring training season this year. Yeah, I think between now and when you have mass inoculation, you're going to have a tough time. Obviously, COVID is spreading more rapidly than it did in the summer and into the fall, and I just think that it's going to be more likely that things are canceled or delayed. Will we have a spring training season? Yes. Is it going to be a full spring training season? I doubt it. But 2022, Katie bar the door. I just think it's going to do really well, and I think that Phoenix will do really well. Keep in mind where we're coming from. Based on Prop 210, based on the housing bubble, Phoenix had a lot of catching up to do. It's in terms of reputation, and the reputation as a tourist site, as a place to live, has caught up. I expect more people to move here, and I expect that the tourist season in the 21-22 tourist season is going to be exceptional.
So let me ask you this. Somebody said, I think this morning, there was a question about the Roaring 20s. Like, is the Roaring 20s in May of this year? Is it in June? And what does that mean? And what do you think about that?
Well, if I could be certain exactly when there'd be enough vaccine to get to everybody, as soon as you get the herd inoculation, you basically it'll be party time. You're going to see people spending like crazy. You're going to see them take a lot of vacations. You're going to see restaurants packed. You're going to see sporting events packed. You might even see churches packed for a while. But the bottom line is there is a lot of pent up demand. And once it is safe, people will, I think, get back into the swing of things quickly. Now, there are some things that have changed. The number of people working remotely is going to increase. The number of the amount of business travel is going to slow, and I think that's going to hurt airlines, and it's going to keep occupancy in hotels from getting fully back to normal. But generally, people are going to find a way to spend that money. Now, interestingly enough, in a typical recession, you don't buy goods, you buy services. This isn't a typical recession. It's not a recession at all. It's a forced shutdown by government. And so people have been spending money on goods and not on services. I think that shifts back to where you spend a lot of money on things that you liked but couldn't get to. You couldn't get to Uncle Izzy's anniversary party. You couldn't get to a ball game. You couldn't get to Europe. You couldn't take your wife to Paris. I think all that, it's Katie bar the door on all that stuff once people realize this is over.
So did I get this right? Was a statistic that normally Americans' savings rate is about 7%, and during the COVID it went up to 35%, and now it's at about 15%.
That is correct.
That's crazy.
Correct. Just think of yourself. If you've been working this whole time from home, you turned around one day and said, geez, where'd this pile of cash came from? Well, it came from you being paid your normal salary, but having few places to spend it. Yeah, you spend a bunch of money on Amazon and you get boxes every day. It's not the same. It's not the same. You couldn't go to your bars. You couldn't go to your sporting events. You couldn't go on a vacation. You couldn't go to your cousin's wedding. There's a whole bunch of things you couldn't do, and you're going to be able to do them, and you're going to have gobs of cash. That says to me, spending.
Awesome. That's awesome. What, Jim, and then are you seeing, I think we talked a little bit about Proposition 208 and its effect, its potential chilling effect on people moving here to Arizona. Are you seeing that in housing yet, or are the home builders talking about that, or are you worried about that?
From my perspective, it's definitely a conversation point against, amongst, definitely amongst peers and business owners. And as I look on like LinkedIn, there's a lot of information on there, Twitter, it is a trending subject. And I can't say that it's had a dramatic effect on housing per se at this point, because most of the volume in housing is in the suburbs and exurbs. Casa Grande has climbed out of a out of a big hole, frankly, since the previous recession. And now it's one of the top markets in the Metro Phoenix area. Coolidge, places where homes are now $250,000 to $350,000. But certainly it's hard for me to believe, and I'd love to hear Elliott's take on that. You'd think that would potentially have some impact on our economy. And I actually, I don't know if you mind, but I wanted to ask Elliott, I actually did in the chat. Elliott, are you concerned about the 4.5 million people that have fallen out of the labor pool since the beginning of COVID? I mean, you're talking about, and everybody I think is sort of thinking roaring 20s is coming, right? We're going to come out of this pandemic, everything's going to be strong. Are we going to have enough workers in the labor pool? Right now we're at 6.7, which doesn't seem like a bad unemployment rate.
Well, let me start with that, and then I want to go back to 208. Essentially, when jobs are available and wages go up for some of those jobs, people will be pulled back into the labor force. Okay. A lot of people, a lot of baby boomers basically said, I'm not going to, when the jobs are there, I'll take it. But until then, I'm out of the game. And certainly a lot of women who are primary caretakers had to stay home with their kids, had to stay home, take care of their parents. Hopefully that changes. Is it a constraint at some point? Yes. Is it a constraint over the next 2 years? No, it's not. But at some point, it might be an issue, but not anytime soon. Let me just talk about 208. 208, the basic concept to get more money to education is great. It's the way it's done that's just plain stupid. And I'll tell you why it's stupid. One, you're keeping away the very jobs you want, high-paying home office or regional office type jobs. That's who's going to be affected. The average guy who's in a warehouse won't be affected, at least not for a decade. Maybe at that point he will be affected. But this was mean-spirited because there's no reason to do it this way. If you had done it through a sales tax or an excise tax, it wouldn't have had the effect it's going to have, because now a lot of companies will never see Arizona on their list of states to move to because they didn't meet this base criteria, and that is having a low marginal tax rate. The second thing is the very companies you want are high wage companies. That's what we've been dreaming about for years. We're finally getting them. And who's the first company to say, I'm not going there because you got the 9th highest tax rate in the country? It's going to be high wage companies. This is just plain idiocy.
Thanks, Elliott. Well, I think.
By the way, I have no opinion other than that.
We're going to, I think Tom Galvin in my office and Logan Elia and Audra Patrol and David McDowell are fighting, that in court now. And
let me also say, by the way, this isn't the end of Arizona growth. Arizona will continue to grow. Phoenix will continue to grow. But we'll lose probably 10, maybe 15% of the other jobs we otherwise would have had. That might not be much in any 1 year, but over a decade, it's probably 100,000 jobs. That's a lot of jobs. And that's a lot of housing. It's a lot of retail sales. It's a lot of restaurants. It matters.
Oh, let's get him on some of these interviews, Tom. He's for 208. That's compelling and pretty horrible too. Hey, I wanted to give a shout out to former Councilman Dan Schweikert from Paradise Valley. He's on the line here. His picture's not up, but he reminds us that he was at our first Coach House party, which was maybe like, I don't know, there was maybe 15 of us at the most sitting around the Coach House 20 years ago. So, and then I also wanted to tell all of you that next year, because this year got a little scuttled, we were gonna have a real blowout with the 20 years. And as you can tell, we have this one-hit wonder genre, but we were gonna go with a 2 or 3 hitter, and we were gonna have Vanilla Ice come. So that kind of stinks that he's not here today, but that just means that 2021 is going to be extra cool. So I do like that. All right. And you can see Jim loves Vanilla Ice. So he'll be up there on rapping with him. Good. Maybe. All right. Depends how good John did.
Baby, Jordan. Ice Baby. That's yeah. Okay.
Jordan has no idea.
I didn't hear him. What did he say?
I said ice baby.
Ice baby, yes,
Nice.
exactly. Thank you, ice baby. Well, the way you said it just wasn't very familiar. It didn't sound like like vanilla. Sorry, Jim. Your street cred's bad. Okay, so let's go. Let me tell you another little story, and maybe we'll have one of our other one-hit wonder guests come entertain us here. So in 2014, I don't know if you remember this, who was here to see Tone Loc? What does Tone Loc sing? Jen, what do you got? Court, yeah.
Wild Thing?
Wild Thing, that's
Funky
right.
Cole Medina.
Funky Cole
right.
Medina, yeah. Really, really amazing. You remember those memories of Funky Cole Medina when you were in high school or college, or I don't know where you were, but in any case, big deal. So, okay, so this guy we were super excited for this guy. And Allison Nathanson, wave your hand. She's been our office manager forever. She's amazing. She's an amazing human being. We're really, really blessed to have Allison on our team for so long too. She's in charge of this crazy party, so that it comes with all sorts of crazy stress, and she deals with it really, really well. So Tone Loc was a little bit of a prima donna. Aside from that, our sound equipment really sucked. Like, it was horrible. And he went up for a sound check, and it was awful. And he was upset about it. And he didn't want to sound horrible because he was horrible and he was one hit and it was going to diminish his credibility. And he started telling Allison about how, that would diminish his credibility and he wasn't going to perform. We'd already paid him, but that didn't matter. So he went into the parking lot behind the coach house. And he sat there, he sat down, and Allison spent, and we were like, where is he? Where is he? We got to get up on stage. We got to introduce the guy. And Allison's like, Jen Hall kept running back and forth saying, she's doing it. She's doing her thing. She's doing her thing. And she was like, I don't know, she did some Jedi mind trick on this guy. And she convinced him to get on stage. I'm not sure what she did, but she begged him. And the sound sort of worked and he performed and it was awesome. So let's hear what Tone Loc has to say.
Oh yeah, what's up now? This is OG Tone Loc in the house. Want to say what's up to you, to the Rose Law Group. How y'all feeling out there? Hope you're having a happy ass holiday. Remember I played out there in Scottsdale, Arizona, 2014, was it? Some old dive bar. What a crazy ass sound system. At least, well, I'm gonna tell you what my DJ said. He said it was a shitty sound system. Excuse my language. But anyways, between me and you guys, the Rose Law Group, we went on, had a good time. Peace and thank you to Allison Nathanson. Thank you very much, Allison. You're a very kind person. So everybody out there showed you what a lot of hard work can do from 2014 to 2020. Keep on wearing your mask, because we know it's crazy times out here. So just keep on doing your thing, man, and everybody be happy, man, and peace, love, and happiness. Peace to Tone Loc, from Tone Loc, that is, to the Rose Law Group. Happy 2020, 21, and the rest of your lives. Peace out, you guys.
Peace, love, and Tone Loc. I like it. See, Elliott, you see that? You do have something in common, right? Because you've been proselytizing about this mask thing, and you and Tone Loc, same deal, exactly. This was basically the same message. So
I want to get some glasses like that. I'm going to trade mine in.
bliss, it's good. Yeah, that is good. I like it. Court, what do you got? You got a question for Jim?
Yeah, I'll take it. Hey, Jim. So one of the things we were actually talking yesterday with the guy in the industry on the builder side that's really smart, and he was talking about the possibility of there being sort of a like pent up supply, folks that would probably want to move or wanted to move a while ago, but aren't willing to like put their house on the market and have people that might have COVID coming in the front door and walking around, or they don't want to go look at new houses because they don't want to go outside. They don't want people in. Is that something you think is real? Is it even real enough to have an impact, or what will that impact of something like that be?
So pent up supply.
So yeah, just supply that hasn't hit the market yet because people that want to move just aren't willing to.
And he was talking about resale products.
Yeah,
he was
resale,
saying
yeah.
like, hey, they're not putting their house on MLS. The reason that MLS is so low is because they're not putting their house on MLS because they're not wanting to go out and figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly there's a, I, you know, I think there's definitely a possibility that there are some people that are not going out looking at houses that otherwise would be looking at houses. But if they're sellers, then they're probably buyers, right? So they have to go somewhere. So whether they buy resale or they buy new, you know, you're just trading one house for another house, and you still have the same supply issue. I think some of that, you know, so that I think that's a possibility. There are people there, undoubtedly, I'm sure there are some people that have done that, but also we have 2.5% interest rates, right? Mortgage interest rates. So you walk into a home builder sales office and you're going to get a 2%, 2.62, maybe 2.875% mortgage interest rate. The lowest rate that we've ever recorded since we've been capturing that data. It's like, what is it, 1970, Elliott? Elliott probably knows, but it's like
since forever.
Yeah, exactly. So lowest mortgage interest rate. So there's also a good possibility we pulled forward some demand. I think the problem with supply that we have is we have a structural problem, right? So 40 to, we think it's closer to 50% of the buyers that are purchasing homes today don't have a home to sell. They are millennials who got started in their life cycle later, and so they have nothing to list, or they're going and buying their first home. And then you have another, we estimate 8% of buyers, at least most recently since we've surveyed, 8% of buyers are investors purchasing homes. They don't have homes to list. I think our greatest potential for increased supply, and I think this is a positive thing. If we had more supply, it puts some of the fire out and the pressure out on appreciation, which would be a good thing. But I think the greatest opportunity we have for supply is sort of a little hidden thing that nobody's thinking about or talking about. And that's if we continue to pull renters into new homes and the vacancy rate ticks up some of these investors that own portfolios of single family homes may decide they're going to sell those because the homes have appreciated so much. They might decide, and I don't think this is imminent, but I would hope, I'd like to see some of those come back onto the market. If you go down to Casa Grande and you drive into Cottonwood, I think it's called Cottonwood Ranch, D.R. Horton, they're selling 10% of their sales approximately are into investors. It's like an institutional investor buying up all these single family homes in a home that was meant for you and I to purchase homes in. So the day when those homes start coming back to the market, we will definitely see an increase in supply. And I think it'll be a good thing because we'll get off these ultra low levels that are unhealthy where we are today.
And let me add something to that. Unless the house is vacant, the person in it's going to have to find another home to buy or rent. So it's musical chairs unless it's a vacant home. And most of these are not vacant. Most of them are rented. So if they kick out somebody because they're going to sell the home, it doesn't matter because that person's going to be a buyer and he'll essentially just trade homes. So the question is how you get sufficient new supply that is vacant, and the answer is I don't see how you can in the next few years.
So there's some comments in the chat about investors buying the lower price or the homes that are under $250,000 that first-time home buyers would purchase. And then there's some comments about maybe they're going to, multifamily rental units. What are you guys' feelings about that? Is it a problem, I guess? Is any of that a problem?
I don't see it as a problem.
Because it's a musical chair thing.
Yes.
So
by the way, if you buy
comment, I'm unsure is the comment from Michelle there in the chat, or they'll go to multifamily rental, meaning the investors are going to multifamily rental?
No, it sounds like she's talking about the first-time home buyers that aren't going to be priced out. They're going to be priced out. They're going to go rent.
I think that's a possibility. What's interesting about the multifamily rental product, particularly like the build-to-rent product, the subdivisions that are being constructed specifically for rental, if you look at unit size, they've gotten down into the mid 500s as a starting square footage, and they go up to about, most of them 1175 to 1300 square feet. right? So you look at the homes that are being sold by D.R. Horton and some other builders that are selling to investors, that's where they start on square footage, usually 13, 14, 1,500 square feet. So I think it's really a different segment of the rental market that's willing to live in the turnkey versus the individual homes. And so, you know, in the multifamily rentals, the build to rent product is not likely to get bigger. They're trying to keep the price point down. That's why they're going smaller. So yeah, I don't see that as having an impact.
And then is the flavor of the month or the hot product of 2021 the rental single family rental development? Is that what it is? Is that what it's going to be?
It has been for a bit, but now I think we're going to see an acceleration of those types of projects because you have a lot more capital, and previously the holdup really was largely on the construction side. You only had one major builder, one contractor that was building all the communities, and that builder is still building. He's building for multiple parties, but you're starting to see some other groups get into it. We saw obviously Taylor Morrison enter the market recently, Tell Brothers enter the market recently. We're seeing an expansion on that. So I think we're going to see an acceleration and definitely proliferation of that product into other market areas where it isn't presently.
Fair. Okay. Yeah, Elliott, do you have anything to say about that?
No, just that it's a real market segment and it's hitting something that needed hitting, and that is a relatively low-priced place that's bigger than an apartment, that you don't have to walk past other people, you don't have to go up an elevator, and it has a place for your dog and has a place for your kid to play a little ball. But essentially, it's a real market segment, and that's not going away.
Got it. Okay. All right. Kevin Wetzel's asking, are you not seeing municipalities putting the brakes on developments? And I mean, that's what we do all day. So I would say that in a good market, when good things are happening, you know, you certainly do get a backlash of, you know, pro-growth, anti-growth. And so it depends on the municipality. But also, I think there's this, you know, the cities have been shut down for quite some time in that they're not going to work. The planners want to be helpful. I think managers are generally wanting to, you know, let's see some growth, and most councils want to see something good happen. And so I think right now we're seeing, and I don't know if Cord or Cameron or Tom Galvin in my office or Omar want to, you know, disagree, but I'd say we're seeing friendliness and cooperation. Really, it's been great. Good partnerships with cities, doing good projects for the betterment of everybody. So that's my thought. Now, once it booms and it's crazy again, then we may see something different. But for now, I think that's the general. Are you guys going to shake your heads, or you guys disagree? Jen, Nick, Chris? No. Okay. Everybody sort of agree? Okay. Whatever. No, Chris is not going to shake his head at all. He's just going to stare at me. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let me, all right, we're going to just, our last guest, our last special guest is really phenomenal. It was in 2017. It was a great show. Some people said it was the favorite show that they ever had. And it was, of course, Master Gee from Sugar Hill Gang. That song is Rapper's Delight, right? Do you know that song? Sure, you know that song. Okay, maybe we should play the song, but instead, let's have Madeline. Let's listen to him. Look at him; he's aged well.
What's up, Rose Law Group? This is the MASTER, G with double E, the unforgettable Master G. And yes, of course, I remember being out there in Scottsdale with you guys in 2017. I wish we could be back there rocking the crowd and doing the thing that we did for you last time. At any rate, happy holidays to everyone. And also, and most importantly, happy 20th anniversary. Look forward to seeing you guys again. And thanks, man, for loving us. Peace, Master G, I'm out.
Elliott, can you do that?
No.
No, okay, that's good. That was good judgment. That was excellent judgment when you held back. Okay, perfect. I don't think you would have gotten that right. Although you do get most everything else right. So good. All right, Court, what do you got?
I think we can do an informal poll right now. And this goes to Elliott's his premise here of his recovery. Like, how many people, like, raise your hand? Are you first in line for the vaccine? Are you first in line? Raise your hand.
Interesting. Let's see what kind of, yeah, could we
Okay. No
peg a
hesitation.
demographic?
A strong group of no hesitation, but we got about half that maybe aren't. So
Interesting.
You mean, are they
And
giving it to us first, or are we in line to get
are you the moment it's available, are you getting it?
the moment you
Yeah, no, I didn't
allowed.
mean based on your like history. Are you a first responder or someone who they're offering it to you first? But yeah, no hesitation.
Interesting.
Nick is
Yeah.
on the fence. It looked like I saw
Nick is on the
official
fence.
sign for on the fence. He did this.
That was a good, oh, look at that. And did you know, we have 2 actors in our law firm now. Nick Labadie has a real acting career. You may have seen him in some SRP commercials and other things. And then Adam Trank, our partner, just modeled for Wrangler. That's pretty cool. He's an equestrian. All right, everybody here, I'm in line. All right, they're all in line. Yeah, all right, well, we should be in line. And my parents, your parents too, Court, they're gonna be in line. So
Yeah, I saw them raise their hands. Yeah.
that's what we want. All right, that's good. Then we can hug them again. All right, and speaking of hugs, I just can't thank you guys enough. The 20 years has been phenomenal. I think I feel so blessed, well, to know all of you guys and then all of the team members from Rose Law Group that are here on the line. We've got the best team on the planet, and it's just a joy to come to work. It's almost comical how, you wake up every day and you feel like, I'm going to do my hobby. I get to do my hobby. This is so cool. And somebody's going to pay me. It's unbelievable. And to be around all of you, so creative and super smart, a lot of brain cells, is awesome. So thank you for that. I just had to throw that in there because I felt a little sentimental, because I would have been standing at the coach house, door and hugging everybody or shaking their hand, which I guess we're not allowed to do any of that. And I guess I was also an awkward hugger is what I was always told. So anyhow, side hug.
Yeah. Hey, Jordan.
Yeah.
I wanted to tell you, and I think a lot of people think very highly of you, but happy 20th anniversary. I've been it's been wonderful to be able to spend, a meaningful portion of the last 15 years with you. So thanks for that. And I also want to give a little shout out to Shruti Girdante. She represented Belfiore Real Estate Consulting through a very long process of and through the emotions of selling my company. So thank you, Shruti. You're awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, Shruti is awesome.
Thank you, Jim, and congratulations to Jim. Everybody, give him a big round of applause, right? Like, what a great thing.
Amazing.
It's crazy all of the time that we spent together, but this is the very first time I've seen your picture.
Yeah.
2020, baby. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And thank you, Rose Law Group. Happy 20th.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
Really nice of you. Really nice of you. And it's an honor to represent you too. That is a real
Absolutely. Yeah. It's been such an honor to represent you and Kathy and the team, Jim. Thank you for giving us the opportunity.
No one else. Wouldn't consider of using anyone else.
Thank you. Thank you. Beyond nice.
You
Beyond
can
nice.
come to the real party when we have it.
Yeah, we'll invite you. We'll invite you. Yeah. So the real party will come, and it will be fantastic. Let's Court, did you want to say anything to sort of wrap it up there?
No, I just share your feelings about all of this. It's been an awesome 20 years, and this just doesn't really compare to having 1,000 people in the parking lot of the coach house. So I'm not sure how to put it in perspective, but
Can you imagine?
It's really great that everyone joined us today, and we do have like the greatest team in the world. So this is pretty awesome.
It is pretty
Very
awesome.
fortunate.
Time to have a beer.
Yeah, everybody go do whatever it is that you do. But I would tell you, I mean, from 20 years ago, sitting at the coach house with a couple of us here and Councilman Schweikert and Paul Basha and Jen Hall and Court and I think that was it. And then the Basis Charter School, I think, was with us and a couple engineers that we'd worked with, which was kind of cool. To last year when we had like 1,000 people, the governor showed up, the whole deal. It's just a really cool thing to see progress. And I it's because of the team and and all of the cool things that you guys do in the community. So I appreciate that team, Rose Law Group team. So thanks. And Elliott and Jim, you guys are
Thank you.
amazing.
It's been great.
Yeah, it's been great. So, all right, well, next year, we're going to be at the Coach House today, like right now, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So remember this 2020 as something unusual, but good things happen, and it sounds like good things are going to happen in 2021, even better. So the best is yet to come for us, for you, and for the new year. So happy holidays, and thanks for everything.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Bye, everyone.